I would like to play it and get a reaction to it with everybody else. So I'll just wait and see. But it looks like X has got big time problems right now. So moving on with the stories, then we've got, what is it? Epstein files show off a naked Maxwell and photos of powerful figures in resurfaced videos. Jeffrey decorated his Palm Beach lair with images of him with powerful people and naked women, including Maxwell. Footage released with the 33,000 things by the House Oversight Committee gave a look inside the Florida mansion in 2005 when police investigated him for abusing a 14-year-old. And that's when he had this pyramid scheme at the school whereby he would get girls over, lure them in, offer them a couple $100 to do a massage, and then he'd try and abuse them. And if they resisted, then he would try and recruit them to recruit other girls from the school. So many girls were going from this school to his house. It was the talk of the school, and he even had the audacity to send flowers to the school to some of the girls, and girls who were finding other girls were getting finder's fees and etc. But they're all survivors. They're all victims of this guy's monstrous network, and it's disgusting that the police and some of the media, to talk about them has been participants and stuff like that when they were indoctrinated from this high school age. And Jeffrey showed off over a dozen images of Maxwell in the home, with one showing her naked on the beach. Other framed photos around the now demolished home showed the couple posing with Fidel Castro and meeting Pope John Paul II. He purchased the home in 1990 for $2.5 million and made it the center for his monstrous grooming empire, targeting girls around the age of 14. And it looks like we may have John calling in right now. So hey, John, how's it going?
Yeah, fantastic. Shaun, you better ask me some questions, but before you do, I better tell you who I am, actually.
Go for it.
Okay, so my little sister, who always acts as if she's older, and she's very estranged from the family, whatever is left of it now. She's a top manager at one of the biggest, it's a Canadian-based mining companies in the world, okay? Her godparents, one of them is, was Barbara Hutchinson, so that's Barbara Hutchinson Rothschild. So you're talking to someone that knows these people. Now, from there, and I apologize if I come across as an arrogant snob. I'm going to let that happen because it's probably a good way to get an insight into some of this. Now, from there, ask me a question.
Well, the first question will be, did you watch the survivors speak today?
Yes, I did, yeah.
And how did it make you feel?
Well, I mean, I try not to. I mean, there were two really interesting things that came out of that for me. Well, don't worry, I can do South African accent if you want. But the two interesting things, I'm responding to a chat line there, but the two interesting things were that somebody said there's a lot more to it than has come out. That's true. Then the second thing that was very interesting was Speaker Johnson said it involves an adversarial country, and that was a surprise to me because I'm not sure who he's talking about or who he would be talking about. But from my personal experience and history, Shaun, I actually know why they pick, they bring in very young people. It's not just a sex-based thing.
Yep, keep going. Oh, we lost you. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, I think we've lost him. One of the things
we're losing X accounts. X is going down and we're losing people on the phone. What is going on?
One of the things that struck me when I was watching The Survivors. Oh, you still there, John?
Thank God. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm here.
Okay. Keep
Ask
going,
me a
John.
question.
Well, John,
okay,
you know,
okay. So
you were talking about the survivors and what struck you.
Yeah. Okay. So the ones that are in the public, those are people who have come into the public view, and they'll be supported by whatever lawyers, like, you know, that Lady McCauley, whatever her name is, the one from Florida that was very, very good with one of them. I forget what her name is. It's Sigrid McCauley. She was the main lawyer that was in the court cases, and then you've got the you know, Gloria Allred. So those people are on the front end, and everyone's going to focus on sexploit, or well, let's whatever name you want to call it, exploitation. But some of these things are highly systematic. They're organised. They don't just involve a certain Jeffrey Epstein. So people from organised groups will try and find certain types of people. So in order to find those people, they've got to go through a lot, and they'll select from out of them. So, I mean, the bottom line is, I'll cut to the chase here. The people that are really compromised, if there are any that the facts can come out on, will be people that are highly placed in places like, for example, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That's where the money comes from. So, and those people that do that, they're not in the public eye. So you're looking at the victims that are in the public eye, and they're not the only people that are involved. And it's a systematic thing. It's not, people are looking at it just say, oh, you know, he's a perverted guy. Yeah, and he might be. But that's not how it starts and what it's all about.
Yeah, you've nailed it there, John. There's the much bigger picture. And you talked about, you know, adversarial countries. So any country that's trying to overthrow the national security of another country through honey trap operations is an adversary to that country, whether they're trying to, you know, control people in power to get certain decisions made. And, you know, we think that is what the bottom line is here. What do you think about that, Patrick?
I definitely agree. Not much to it more than I agree. I kind of can talk too much for the both of us sometimes, and this is where I listen. You know?
Yeah, because the objective of the apparatus that employed Epstein, we believe, was to compromise politicians, billionaires, scientists, etc., so that certain countries could, you know, have leverage over those people, and when key decisions were to be made, they would apply that pressure upon them, and that includes Bill Clinton, because we had Ari Ben-Menashe on, and he specified in the part 2 that we did with him that when Bill Clinton and Ehud Barak were supposed to broker peace with Yasser Arafat for Palestine, that Clinton and Ehud Barak, Clinton was told that he could not broker peace because he'd been compromised by Jeffrey. Ari Ben-Menashe even said the instruction came from Jeffrey to Bill Clinton to not broker peace with Ari Ben-Menashe. So that's the stuff that the mainstream media isn't talking about, and it's what you, I think, were alluding to, John. But I've just give a concrete example of it.
Well, that's exactly correct, because where the money comes from is the weapons dealing. Why you can't broker peace is because behind people like you know, we have to face facts. As far as I understand, have I dropped off, or am I still there?
You're here.
Still here. Keep going.
Okay. As far as I understand, Jeffrey Epstein was the director of the Council on Foreign Relations. Now that's Henry Kissinger and all that, you know, Dick Cheney. This is that's where the story is. You know, they have got no compunction in dealing with these women the way that you see in the front end now. that is just part of the whole picture. The picture is it's completely deadly. And yeah, well, you know, as I've said before, I doubt whether the whole picture will come out. What has to happen is people like Speaker Johnson are going to have to make arrangements that for people who have been harmed and injured. And really what Kash Patel and Bongino need to do is organise a unit that is their special job is to make sure that, you know, this sort of thing the FBI is watching for it not to happen, and that some you know mechanism is used to support these people because they have been involved. Where they have been involved isn't necessarily a government spying organisation, but 100% definitely is a military weapons dealing organisation linked with very major NGOs with enormous funds and reach. You know, so it's deadly. It's not straightforward. You know, it's not safe. It's not in any way benign.
Goes back to Robert Maxwell, Khashoggi, the arms deals, Iran-Contra. But we've got Gary wants to call in, John. Thank you for your insights. We're going to have to let you go. And you have a great rest of your day. Take care. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you. A good one.
All right, so we are going to bring Gary in next and continue the discourse on not just what the survivors have said today, but also the 33,000 baloney files that have been released. The only thing of interest was Jeffrey's cell, the missing minute, just showing that Pam Bondi is an absolute Pinocchio. And these people just lie in our faces constantly and expect us to swallow their BS. Let's see if Gary is there. Is Gary there, Ben? Let me see if Ben's going to bring Gary in. If not, I will see what it says about the 33,000 documents, what the latest is. Did you get a chance to look at any of the document stories?
Not the stories directly, but I did skim over some articles with experts who went into quite a bit, saying that it was kind of I shout out to King motherfucking Bao, King Bao. King Bao did like a video on how he said that Representative Anna Paulina Luna was trying to sell that as like a major disclosure, but apparently 97% was already stuff we knew or was already. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I heard from Bao. And that dude's so real that he did the Jimmy Kimmel challenge, exposing the fact that Jimmy Kimmel was friends with Adam Perry Lang for like 100+ days on Instagram. And King Bao is like a bare knuckle boxer, and he has his own show, and he's all about saving the children. He does many things, a man of many talents, but he's also hardcore anti-Epstein cover-up, just as much as you are in his own world. And I'd like to have him on the show sometime, actually, because like, yeah, he did have a hand in trolling Jimmy Kimmel to get canceled. Yeah, he did do that, but they'll never give people like that the credit when these people fall, because that would just make the legend of Bao even more legendary. You can't admit that. But yeah, I did look into it a little bit. But tell me your perspective. Was anything new in that whole document dump? What do we need to focus on? What do we need to know?
It was just like phase one of the Epstein files release with some bells and whistles and trinkets on it. The story is, let's see, U.S. House of Representatives released thousands of pages of records. The 33,000 pages included years-old court filings related to Epstein and Maxwell, as well as what appears to be body cam footage from police searches and police interviews. The files appear to contain information that is already public knowledge. Let's see.
I gotta shake my head. How long are they gonna do these fake releases and think we're gonna continue to buy? Owen Schwartz just quit InfoWars the other day or today. I think that partly is the reason. So like, even like the most diehard Trump supporters are like, nah, you've been lying how many times, and every time we get roasted for the lies, and we can't keep doing this. So it's amazing to finally see everyone on all sides coming together. It's beautiful to see Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie doing a political gang truce. Hell, I've been doing political alchemy for a while now. Back in the day, people called me crazy for saying, I'm going to get, Antifa and patriots to stop fighting and talk about prison reform because progressives and libertarians agree on these issues, but there's always a diatribe, not a dialogue. But eventually, Ammon Bundy actually signaled support for Black Lives Matter in 2020. Why? Well, it was to create dialogue, not a diatribe. And they were saying all these people are violent on the left and the right. Well, maybe some of them are, but maybe some of them are just getting really upset because they're not being heard. And maybe if we just try this radical thing called a roundtable discussion, then maybe we could create peace. But we can't do that if we're all angry at each other in our own hearts first. So it's like I'm a walking psychology test when I said, like, yeah, we need to create political alchemy on these things. And so political gang truce is something I specialize in. And people slandered me in the past for saying it couldn't be done. And then how many times have I been done doing it? And so it's beautiful to see that resonating through the halls of Congress finally. Because when I said it months ago, you heard it and a lot of your audience heard it, but did Congress really hear it? I'm not so sure. It took Virginia dying and the survivors all coming together in the wake of that to actually make them wake up and smell the coffees. But it is beautiful. I don't care if people are late to the party. Everybody can grow and learn and change. As long as we're all getting to the same page at some point and can talk and have a dialogue. And the boomers, they're really pissed off. The Champagne Democrats, the Country Club Republicans with their unholy alliance to cover this up, they're very upset. But I'd just like to see this moment in history. I'm glad that we're talking about it, setting the example. And you, Shaun, like I said, you like, I don't know, Merlin or King Arthur setting the round table so humbly yet hardcore expert. Like it's humbling to be a part of the conversation.
Well, we have got hundreds of millions of people carrying the spirit of Virginia forward right now, up in arms, demanding that something concrete gets released. I'm just looking at Trump's approval rating. So according to The Economist, 226 days into Trump's term, his net approval rating is now minus 14%, whereby 41% approve, 55% disapprove, and 3% are not sure. And I'm looking at a graph of it, and it's just been trending down completely. We've had this story going on now for about over 2 months. Looks like at the end of May, his approval rating was minus 7%, and now it's sunk to minus 14. Yeah, so that's putting a lot of pressure on him to do the right thing, hopefully. But yeah, continuing the story then, the Republicans and the Democrats said that the files contained little new information, and it is unclear if the Justice Department is withholding other records. Pressure is continuing to grow on Trump because they said, they did the sit down with Putin, and they said that Epstein and Trump was no longer being Google search and all that baloney. But the pressure is continuing to grow, even from Trump's own supporters, for more transparency on the probe. After the Justice Department said in July there was no incriminating Epstein list, which just made a lot of people really upset. Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer ordered the documents to be published yesterday, and the Republican-led panel received the files after issuing a legal summons to the Department of Justice that last month. So they forced the Department of Justice to do this with a legal summons. They didn't even want to do this, folks. Our current administration in America, who promised they were going to get in and do the right thing, they didn't even want to release this stuff, even though there was little fresh information. Comer said, as far as I can see, there's nothing new in the documents. The videos released included the footage from the cell, which we started this stream with today. It includes 13 hours and 41 seconds of video from the facility covering the evening of the 9th of August and the morning of 10th when he was unalived. This is 2 hours more of video than what the Justice Department released 2 months ago. So they've had it this whole time, and they've just messed with our heads and not released it and lied to us about why stuff was missing. Previously released footage had a 60-second gap that appeared immediately before midnight in the time code, but this gap has now been filled, and it's being shown everywhere. Pam Bondi previously said the missing minute was just the jail's camera system resetting each night. Wow. However, the anomaly had stoked theories about the official finding of Epstein dying by his own hand. The tranche of documents also includes several clips from 2006 showing interviews with people who said they were survivors. Their faces are blurred and names removed from the audio as they talk about the SA while they were getting hired for massages. Other video shows body cam footage from police in Palm Beach, Florida, as they search a home belonging to Epstein. And, you know, we spoke to one of the cops from Florida who was at the home taking evidence. And his colleague was Joe Ricuri. And Joe Ricuri said, this ain't going to see the light of day, this evidence. And then Joe Ricuri mysteriously died in his 50s. He was perfectly healthy. And his colleague, who I interviewed, fled to Russia. He was so scared, and his house got raided. And I think he's still in Russia. Some of the documents date back 20 years, covering an initial criminal investigation into Epstein launched by Palm Beach police. But Robert Garcia, top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, said in a statement to the American people, "Don't let this fool you." Well said. After careful review, Oversight Democrats have found that 90% of the documents received from the Department of Justice was already public. There is no mention of any client list or anything that improves transparency or justice for victims. So they are still trying to fool us, folks. They're lining Maxwell up for an early release. They're not sitting down with the survivors, and they're just still lying to our faces and withholding information. And it's absolutely sickening. So, you know, we're almost at the hour. If anyone's got any final questions, get them in the chat. If you've got any questions for Patrick, if you want to follow Patrick on X, his link is in the description box. If you want to join us on the screen, the StreamYard link is in the description box as well. And have you got any closing thoughts, Patrick?
Yeah, I know that Virginia had a sense of humor, and we talked extensively about that. I was one of the first people, if not the first, she ever messaged on Instagram, and I told her, welcome to the land of dank memes, food pics, and memetic warfare, and we're welcome to have you. We're honored to have you. And she called me a legend, and I'm like, no, you're the legend. You're the one taking down Prince Andrew. But she knew what we do in Portland, which is like protest bullshit. And so she was like, you put F. Ted Wheeler on a hoodie, put his name in a rap song that made the mayor move at a block party concert. I said, yeah, it was bipartisan. He was universally hated, internationally hated, and I just culture jammed it all. And so I know that she had a sense of humor based on that. That's why I made the St. Virginia hoodies. And I think that she would be down for a block party rave protest, blending all of the, not a crazy protest, but a block party rave concert in DC or every city in the world. And Shaun, what better a person to ask how to do this than Shaun Attwood? Don't you know a little bit about some raves and whatnot? Like you, the OG, bless us with the wisdom and knowledge of how we make this fun and interesting so it doesn't die out.
Oh, appreciate that, brother. Now, X has come back up.
Oh, snap.
So let me, yeah, my X is back up. Let me try and get Juliet's message up. And we are trying to get Juliet back on as well. So
My name is Juliet Rose Bryant. I was kidnapped by Jeffrey Epstein 23 years ago when he was in Africa with Bill Clinton. I'm so sorry I could not be at the rally today. Unfortunately, I'm too frightened to travel to America after everything that has happened. I would, however, like to read my speech, which was read out at the rally. I wish I could have been here today. Unfortunately, I'm too frightened to travel to America after everything that has happened. I am, however, here in spirit, like many other victims, such as Virginia Gaffer and Carolyn Adriano. I want to speak out for all victims of abuse, especially those who can no longer speak, those both alive and dead. For years, the truth about Epstein has been covered up. They say there is no Epstein list. Speak to us. It's time to dig deeper. It's time to look into the financial records. It is clear that there's been a big cover-up here. We have all been lied to. It is especially difficult for victims of Epstein to move on with their lives, considering how it's thrown in our faces daily through the media, without any closure whatsoever. The public have now become victims of this as well. We have all been hurt very badly by this. It's time for the truth to come out. It's time to stand up for victims of all crimes. It's time for perpetrators to be held accountable. Thank you for all being there and for standing by myself and the other victims. Together we can all make change. There's great strength in numbers. And we all need to stand together and make change together. Thank you everyone for caring and seeing us.
Oh, we love Juliet. Sending loving vibes to you. Juliet, you are absolutely amazing, brave person. And we appreciate what you're saying there. And we wish you much strength. And I've spoke to you a lot. We did the podcast with you. I would urge viewers to watch the podcast we did with Juliet so you can comprehend her full story. But yeah, Juliet is amazing. It looks like we might have one final caller. Is Gary still there, Ben?
Yep.
Hello, mate. I am.
Hey, Gary, how's it going?
Not too bad, brother. Not too bad. I did speak to you a couple of weeks ago, and your assistant, nice guy, was doing it just talking to vetting people for you, and yeah, I didn't. He just said on there that there's been loads of extra files released on the Epstein thing, and that sounds like a lot, 30 odd thousand. So that's crazy amount. I thought there wasn't anything there. They just were saying nothing to see. So that's crazy, isn't it?
1 minute there's nothing there. Next minute there's 33,000 pages. It's Houdini with his smoke and mirrors. That's what this administration they should be garbed in the magician's clothing and clown costumes as well to reveal the true inauthentic selves, I reckon.
Shaun, you know as well as I do that there's a little bit of smoke and mirrors that always goes on when things are being shown. It's probably something looking in another direction that we're not looking at as these things are being released, And I don't know, man. I just think they are all the Facebook people, Zuckerberg, and all these dudes are building bases underground, and the government say they built a giant base, and I just feel that there's something that the UK are, making things really hard for people, and I think they just want to light a touch paper. I feel it's a bit crazy. I think things are building up, and this is maybe a bit of a smokescreen. I don't know. I definitely believe, like you, that so many things have gone on that island, and we probably only know a fraction of what's gone on now. But I just don't know. I just feel something's quite round the corner, Shaun. That's a little bit crazy. I can feel it. All the flags are going up around England. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? So it's crazy with the Tommy Robinson stuff as well. But just thank you for your show, and just please keep it up. Keep up what you're doing, and I hope it all goes well for you guys.
Oh, well, thank you very much for your kind words, and thank you for calling in this evening. Have a great evening, my friend. Take care.
Yeah, you too, Shaun, and just keep going. And when you see David, tell him just keep it up as well, because he's been trying for a long, long time, and had a lot of bashing when he's been right on nearly everything. So yeah, but keep sending my regards, and you take care, and your assistant take care.
All right, cheers. Yeah, he touched on something important there. He can feel this combustible thing in the air. And it's everywhere. And David Icke came to my mind immediately when he was saying that, because he predicted that the globalists were going to accelerate us towards the one world government, new world order, Hunger Games society. And Starmer's just announced now they want us all to have this national ID, and they've got the AI. The government's got the AI now, just watching absolutely everything we are doing, from our internet activities to our bank accounts, to our conversations with people on our phones. And as technology advances faster, the agenda advances faster, and England, you know, a lot of people are trying to stand up to it here, and they're getting thrown in prison just for social media posts. And now we've got this bizarre, the signs up when we were driving, we went up to the north for Ziggy's birthday. Saw lots of British flags on the way up there, over 100 of them on the roads and stuff. But there's also signs saying the government is going to take control of our phones on Sunday and do an alert to us all.
Oh, we had one of those in Portland like last week. I was on the news because I was like walking past the news guy. I'm like, what's the story? What are you filming? And this is the same guy who filmed me like responding to a shooting at the library a month before. So I'm just like Forrest Gump on scene to everything. Now I become undeniable to the local news to the point where I'm like walking past. I'm like, what's the story today? Oh, we're having an emergency alert. And like as I'm talking to him, I get the emergency alert on my phone. And he like turns the camera to me because he's looking for B-roll content of people getting it. So I'm like, yeah. But it's funny you mentioned it. Like, this is a global operation, Shaun, and it's clear. We're getting into Multnomah County, Portland, Oregon. You're getting over in the UK. They're trying to act like and gaslight us that this ain't happening, but it's happening worldwide.
Yeah, and it's getting scary. The way there's protests all over the country here right now. The cops are just spraying people and arresting people, arresting pensioners, arresting blind people, arresting people for social media posts, when they should be out arresting the predators, the R-worders of the kids. But they absolutely do not give a hoot. They pretend to be doing something about the people who are associated with Epstein just so they can save face. They pretend to be doing stuff about all the teenage girls in this country getting R-worded by the predators just so they can save face. Keir Starmer says, oh yeah, we're going to look into this, look into that. They're just pretending, folks. They're pretending they care. They don't give a crap. They are coming for our freedoms. They are coming for our liberties. They are coming for our kids. And it's terrifying when you hear the stories from these women and they're not taken seriously by the justice system. So they are my closing thoughts. We've gone over the hour. Patrick, would you like to add some closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, I just want to recap a couple things. Today, Shaun Attwood's X account was malfunctioning or messed with, one or the other. That should be documented on the day that, you know, all the roundtable work that he's been doing, bringing all these people on the platform together and keeping the story live. We're still talking about it here and now. And, yep, tech effery is still happening in real time. So that should be noted. But let's keep the story live. If we make it so I know politicians, I've worked in politics for a while. These people think it's going to be a cool retirement plan for them to run for office and build a legacy. And like, they don't really have to do much because they'll hire staffers to do everything. Well, no, times are changing. If we're the cool crowd and we are the cool kids on the block and we're creating political gang truces, and we're forcing that, well, there's no going back. We've got to keep the momentum. We've got to make it so uncool for them to run away from a camera when they're asked about Epstein. Like, y'all are some weirdos. Like, y'all are boomers. Like, no disrespect, but if they think that it's so uncool to hide that they won't even run for office anymore, that we make it such the issue so long that only people who want to tackle this issue even want to put their name in the hat for fear of being embarrassed. And that's what I would encourage people. Follow all the women, follow all the stories, amplify their voices. Today is their day and Virginia's day. And Shaun, I just want to thank you for bringing it all together, as you always do.
All right. Thanks, my friend. I'm going to close the show and let you go. Take care. Cheers.
Have a good one.
Nice one. So if you want to support Patrick, again, I'll put his X in the live chat. And his X is also in the description box. And, you know, what he was saying there, it just reminds me, you've got the Republicans, the Democrats, they got the blue clowns and the red clowns. And we see through them, folks. In this high-tech internet era, yeah, they're trying to turn it on us, but we're also turning it on them. Because when I was growing up, it was BBC News, and that was the gospel. But now there's a hell of a lot of people out there doing good work, exposing what's going on, and you know we're trying to get more guests on of that ilk, and we are supporting people like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, etc., Joe Rogan, when they're calling out the Trump administration for not releasing the Epstein files. And of course, the clowns, the blue clowns and the red clowns, there is a ringmaster. They have no real say in what is going on. The ringmaster does. And that evil entity, the invisible hand that is guiding these clowns, we will endeavor to keep exposing it and the network. So thank you for tuning in, folks. Great day.